Hello, in this video we're going to discuss creating proper bleeds in your documents. Let's go ahead and open an InDesign file, new document, and this is going to be a magazine style. So we're at 8 1/8 inches by 10 9/16 inches. We're going to go facing pages and we're going to have 8 pages in this document. That's just fine right there. You also want to have your 1/2 inch margins. And columns are totally up to you. But at the bottom, when you scroll down here, you'll see this little bleed and slug under margins. Click that to open that if it's not open already. And you're going to set your bleed in here. Don't worry about the slug section. We're not going to use a slug, but bleed is really important. Now, we want to set our top bleed to 1/4 inch, our bottom bleed to 1/4 inch, our inside bleed has to be 0. Now, you see the little link here. Let's uncheck that because it made all of our bleed values 1/4 inch. Let's uncheck that and we can change the inside to 0. And I'll show you what that looks like when we create this document. Again, it's a signature size document with 8 pages, 1/2 inch margins, and 1/4 inch bleed on the top, bottom, and outside. So let's click Create. So here's our document, and you'll see the black line all the way around is our trim size. That's our document size, the 8 1/8 by 10 9/16. The purple line here, or the magenta line, is our margin line. So we want to keep live matter inside this smaller box inside. We don't want the live matter to go out into the margin on all 4 sides. The red line here is our bleed. Now this is page 1. And as you can imagine, the bleed coming off the top is 1/4 inch, the outside is 1/4 inch, and the bottom is 1/4 inch. Of course, we do not want to bleed to the fold. This is also called the spine. If we were to bleed there, it would get it on the other page or just get cut off. So we just don't want that. That's why we use that 0 value for the inside. Let's look at some of the other pages and how this works. Now these are facing pages. This would be 2 and 3. And as I had mentioned in a previous video, we don't want to do any crossover text all the way across because these 2 pages actually don't print together on the same piece of paper. But we can go up to the center point here. But you can see the same thing. We have our live area. We have our 1/2 inch margin on all 4 sides of our page here. Okay. And then we have our bleed, and we have the bleed across the top, the outside, and the bottom. And you can see right at the spine we have no bleed, which is important because again, if we were to bleed over here, we'd have 1/4 inch of page 3 printing on page 2. Not a good thing. And likewise, page 2 would print over onto page 3. So we leave that inside dimension for the bleed at a value of 0. Now if we go to the center spread, in a previous video I mentioned that this is actually one piece of paper and you can run text all the way across like a big headline. You can run a photo all the way across and that's just fine. Again, no bleed in there. Once we have our document, let's just go ahead and put some stuff in here. Let's put just some color and some type. Just some type. And we're going to go ahead and make a press ready PDF. So we're going to export and we're going to use Adobe Print, not Interactive, Print. We will name our file and locate where you want the file to be saved to. Click the Save button and it brings us to our PDF export dialog box. And here we're going to choose press quality or high quality. But the important part is on our pages, let's see, marks and bleeds. So go on the left hand side, the categories, click on marks and bleeds. And down here in bleed and slug, we're going to use the document bleed settings. And as you can see, they actually populated in here. The top and bottom and outside are at 1/4 inch and our inside is 0. We don't want to include the slug area at all. And go ahead and click export. I want to make sure that it's going to open up for us so we can see it. So when it's done, it's going to open. So here's our PDF. Let's scroll down to those pages that we had. And we can see now that we went all the way into the edge, the center spine. That's page 4, and this is page 5. So those will line up, but let's take a look if we have bleed on this. Now, if we hover down in the right-hand corner down here, we'll see in black it says 8.38 by 11.6. Now our document size was 8 1/8 by 10 9/16. Obviously, this is bigger. If you added that 1/4 inch bleed to the outside, you would end up with 8 3/8 or 8.38. And if you added the 1/4 inch to the bottom and the 1/4 inch bleed to the top, you would have 11.06. So this document does have our bleed. We didn't put any bleed or trim marks on this document. Sometimes you want to do that and sometimes you don't. But if you do, make sure you offset those marks at least a 1/4 inch so they don't print into the bleed that we're trying to print on the edge of the paper. I know this is a bit of a confusing topic, but if you have any questions, we're always here for you. Give us a call.